Can you see it now fully?
Yeah, sir, we can see it full screen.
Okay, thank
Perfect.
you. Okay. So thank you very much indeed for this technical help. My senior professional colleagues in the Central Council, regional councils, and respected dignitaries in the audience. Thank you very much indeed, Nandaji, for giving me this opportunity for sharing my thoughts in the context of strategic business management. I would definitely like to do some job in the context of this particular topic, but I think the entire foundation has been laid by my previous speakers. So, what I would like to do, I would like to, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, we can hear you.
Okay. I would like to lay the superstructure on the foundation which has been built by Mohammad Salim ji and the previous speaker. I will be using a lot of internet-based freely available graphics, and I owe my liability to all of them as because those are freely available, I'll be using for propagating knowledge. I have this agenda to share this evening. I'll try to revisit the competitive business strategy, and I'll share my thought lines in strategic financial business management. I'll share my thought lines with strategic cost management and trusts and success factors for strategic business management. And I have 3 case studies. I do not know whether I'll be able to complete those, but I'll try. I'll tell some stories also during the course of this presentation. Quickly, without bringing coal to Newcastle or selling ice to Eskimos, let me tell you what we exactly do when we do simple accounting. We identify the transaction, measure, recognize, record, and report. Our objective is to do all these things for the stakeholders, governance group of management, and the external stakeholders. We follow conceptual, institutional, regulatory, and legal framework of accounting when we do the accounting. What is important here in this particular point is that the information has to be reliable, its integrity must be established, and it should be relevant for the purpose of decision management. Our frequency ideally should be monthly. When I was an accountant in a factory in my early days of professional life, I used to do some reporting even on a daily basis by pen and pencil kind of environment with a calculator. So our ultimate objective is to reach the pinnacle of success. So quickly, accounting is the process of identifying, measuring, recognizing, and reporting economic events. Objective is to allow taking informed judgments and decision by the user of the information. What is cost accounting then? Cost accounting is the process of identifying the relevant data, collecting, collating, classifying, analyzing, reporting, and interpreting this. So here one more subject has been added, that is the interpretation. Rest of the items were definitely there in financial accounting. So a system of costing therefore embraces 5 functions: identification, ascertainment, allocation, apportionment, or assignment. If so much of job has been done by accountants and cost accountants, what is the job of a financial accounting? Very simple 2-liner job. Accounting analyzes and presenting to facilitate the managerial process of strategy. So management accountant's job is to analyze, present the data and information to facilitate the managerial process of strategy formulation and decision. So here, so long we were talking about financial and cost reporting, now we are talking about facilitating the process of a strategy formulation and decision making. Objective is to provide financial quantitative information for attaining competitive advantage and resources. So this is the foundation of accounting. Let me now come to the core subject point of strategy. Why I laid the foundation of accounting? because the most important thing is the integrity and reliability of information, timeliness of information, and finally relevance of the information. If you ask me, Dr. Basu, have you ever understood the meaning of the word strategy, or have you ever could internalize the word strategy? I'll say no. In my 34 years of life and 9 years of teaching, perhaps I have not understood the word strategy. So let me take resort to lexicon, that is dictionary. In dictionary, the word strategy was born from military command. These are applied for the overall planning and conduct of large-scale combat operations. So what is combat operation? Combat operation is nothing but winning over the enemy. So whatever you need to do, you have to plan and replan for winning over the enemy. So in the competitive environment of industry, trade and commerce, who is our enemy? Our enemy is our competitor. Our enemy are the risks which are in front of us. So I have brought for you a very simple definition of strategy, which I have picked up from Harvard's literature. And in Harvard, this literature has been elucidated in very many ways. I have done it, picturized it for your benefit. What is a strategy? A strategy is an integrated set of choice for actions which positions a firm in an industry so as to generate superior financial returns over the long run. CA Mohammed Salim was talking about reduction of cost. The objective is generating superior financial return over a period of long run. When you can generate superior financial return over a long term of period, you are creating a sustainable business management process and strategy. So essentially there are three blue phrases. One is integrated set of choices, that is your internal activity. Positioning the firm in an industry, that is the environment, external. And competitive dynamics is that you have to do it in a long term. So what essentially we are going through at the moment in the external environment. External environment is completely under the grip of volatility, uncertainty and complexity and ambiguities. Now we so long knew the word VUCA. Now let us add FU also to it. F means fear of unknown and U means unprecedentedness. So the strategy management, strategic business management, strategy formulators, strategy implementers have got two more variables to deal with. That is fear of unknown, like COVID-19 pandemic or 49 degrees Celsius temperature in North Canada, or the huge wildfire anywhere in the world like Australia and America. And unprecedentedness, the nature of damage and the nature of ravages being created by these unprecedented situations are definitely non-seen before. So we have to be ready for anything and everything in a VUCA world. And for that only we need strategy. Our strategies could be disruptive. Our strategies could be destructive. Now what is destructive strategy? Anything which destroys the previous competitor's product is a destructive strategy. Destructive disruption is disruption. You have seen the iOS and Android has killed entirely BlackBerry and previous analog telephone system. A smartphone has almost closed the torch business, compass business, and many others businesses. Even the non-professional camera industry is almost over. So because of smartphone. This is called disruptive business strategy. When you disrupt your competitor's business strategy by destructing their product, it's called disruptive. And another word comes in disruptive. Disruptive is a process by which you change the process of conducting a business and create a competitive environment which is almost non-competible by the previous player. What is happening in fintech industry is a disruption process. What Ola did to Ola or Uber did to Maruti is a disruptive process, business process disruption. So strategy which you will be creating in future has to be disruptive, disruptive, and innovative. What is innovative? Innovative is the word comes from innovations, and it comes from the word innovationian. I have a copyright on the word innovationian in India because I have been granted that registration. What is innovation then? Innovation is a combination of three words. One is innovation, invention, and creation. The last word creation talks about creation of value. The first word innovation talks about creating innovative process of doing your job, that is doing your product manufacturing and delivery service processing. And the invention word in between innovation and creation is do something new which has not been seen by business previously. It may not be altogether a discovery, but definitely it is something treading into unknown area, what Baiju has done. So essentially what I'm talking about in the screen is that in this unprecedented world where there is VUCA fu, we have to disrupt, we have to disrupt, we have to disrupt, we have to innovate through our strategy. Let me give you a very interesting story. Before that, a very simple statement of a gentleman who used to live about 2100 years from today before. That means we are in 2021. This gentleman used to live around 500 years before the birth of Christ. His name is Sanju. He's a Chinese general military strategist. He said, strategy without tactics is a slow path to uncertain success. Tactics without strategy is the noise before the defeat. I repeat the statement. Strategy without tactics is a slow path to uncertain success. Tactics without strategy is the noise before the defeat. That means you have to have a strategy. You have to have a tactics to implement the strategy. Why the word tactics have been used instead of plan for implementation? Because it has to be a tactical move to combat your competitor. That's why it's called the strategy word has originated from army. So remember this, Sanju, this gentleman who has lived about 2500 years before, he said this and this still holds good. Now let me give you a very interesting story. If any one of you have heard it, it's fine. Here is a story of two CEOs of a company. These two CEOs sit in the same city, does business in the same industry sector. When they are in their operating chair on Monday to Friday, they catch in each other necks through their strategy. But on Saturday, when they go to golf club, they are good friends. They play golf. They enjoy their drinks. They enjoy their family relationship, etc., etc. One day, CEO A is telling CEO B, brother, let's stop this bloody competition. We are catching each other neck. Why should we be in such a competitive mood? Let us find out a way by virtue of which we will be able to stop this. So they said, okay, we'll not be able to close all this nonsense sitting in our city environment. Let us go to a place where nobody will disturb us. So they decided to go to a jungle resort. On a Friday afternoon, they picked up a car and picked up their suitcase and stuffed it in the key of the car, which is a jeep, not a normal city car, and they started towards the jungle resort. The jungle resort was to be reached somewhere around 6 o'clock in the evening. So around 5:30, 5:35, when the jungle resort was a few kilometers away, they were in a very interesting situation. So before that situation, when they were boarding the car, CEO B saw that CEO A is carrying a small kit bag along with him, which he kept with him other than the suitcase which he has stuffed in the dicky. CEO B asking, hey, why are you carrying this small kit with you? He says that it is my habit, always keep something along with me. Okay, fine. So around 5:35, 5:40, when they were near the jungle resort. It's the jungle path, and another 3-4 kilometer will take about 30 minutes. They heard the furor of this wild bear. This bear was running fast, so CEO A and B said, "Oh, jaldi chalo, run fast, drive the car fast." The driver said, "In this jungle, we cannot drive fast because the road is very bad and it's quite dark because in jungle sun rays are not falling at that evening time." Suddenly, CEO B saw that CEO A is opening his kit bag, and he has taken him to surprise by seeing that there is a pair of sneaker and pair of socks. So CEO B asked CEO A, "Why are you wearing all these too? Do you think but by wearing the sneaker and the socks you will be able to run faster than the wolf?" The simple answer CEO A gave to CEO B, "I may not be able to run faster than the wolf, but I will be able to run faster than you. If I can make you fall behind, then the wolf will catch you and I will be running away safely." So that is what is strategy. A small thing can save your life, can save your corporation. So this is what is strategy. A small thing also at any point of time can save you from being killed by the static competition. I hope you are enjoying. CA Priyanka Chaudhary, am I continuing to be audible?
Yes, sir. The story was really interesting. So now you can continue, sir.
I'm in a classroom generally, so we have a benefit of interacting with students. But in any case, let me continue. So we are all finance people. So let me start with strategic financial management first. Strategic financial management is a disciplined process. As you know, my previous speakers have spoken about all this, so I'll quickly pass through these points. It's a disciplined process with a lot of timelines for developing and executing a series of competitive moves, aligning with the resource committed to the unified goal and shedding off outmoded ideas. I will explain to this with you. Please mark the underlined words. It's a series of competitive modes. It has to be aligned with the unified goal of the organization. The outmoded moded tools of the management has to be shedded off. Competitive moves you will derive from external environment. You have to understand and watch the competitors very, very carefully. I call it digital, I call it physical mode, which is PDP mode. That means you collect data from the physical market, bring it to the digital environment, apply your data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, create information out of it, draw inferences from the information, generate strategic moves, go back to the physical market and implement there. That is called PDP loop. An effective strategic financial management has got to have certain focused objective. The first thing is introspection of internal realities with rage analysis. अपने औकात को समझो. That is called introspection of internal realities. That means अपनी मनोदृष्टि से, your mind eyes, मनोदृष्टि, with a lot of attitude, you try to understand your internal realities and then apply a rage analysis to it. What is rage analysis? Required, available, gaps, and essential. Try to understand what is required to have the strategic implementation done at the physical marketplace. What are the things which are available with you? Where is the gap? What are the gaps you have to fulfill? Now, not all gaps you will be able to fulfill in one go. So you have to do an essential analysis. So you do the introspection and do a rage analysis. Formulate your plans, and most importantly, sensitize all concerned in the organization with the plan. Evaluate the monitoring procedure. Unless you do continuous monitoring of your plan to be implemented and the impact getting generated, your money will get wasted. And then do a risk management. Implement something called REPM, which is called Risk Enabled Performance Management System. Anything which you do, It should be risk-enabled performance management. I'll give you an example. When you do receivable management in SAP, what you do a customer master creation, and in that customer master creation you put in two numbers. One is the maximum amount of debit balance that will be permitted under this customer code, and next is the maximum number of outstanding that can be permitted in this customer code. Now, SAP or Oracle Financial or any other software which you use, REPM, ERP, it will straight away stop the system. So what are you essentially doing? You are taking advantage of the ERP you have introduced in your company and making it risk enabled, because receivable management is a risky affair, and you are making your system and processes of management risk enabled by computerization system. But not all risk can be risk enabled by computerization. So there has to be embedded strategic risk enablement in the system. I'll come to it little later. I have got 2 slides for it. So you have to essentially understand value in risk. That will help you to prioritize of which risk to be attacked first through your strategy. Probability of occurrence. So value in risk multiplied by probability in occurrence gives you the value at stake, and that is essentially helps you to prioritize which risk is to be understood first and which risk to be attacked first. And then you take accordingly the mitigation action. Let us keep in mind what Mohammed Salim ji has said: cash is king and profit is not a dirty word. Because at the end of the day, if you have to have a sustainability management, you have to generate sufficient cash. That means you have earned a lot of profit, but your cash flow from operations as disclosed by your cash flow statement shows that your cash flow from operation divided by sales day by day is coming down. That means your working capital management is not correct. And again, if the cash flow has to improve, profit is not a dirty word. So what is strategic financial management? Strategic financial management is a process of dealing with emerging realities. It's a process of uplifting your cash generation ability. It's a process of uplifting your cash generation ability. That is what is strategic management. And that is what is strategic financial management. Now, this slide is very, very important. This is the framework which I have created out of my 34 years of experience in industry. And perhaps it can help you to apply in your company also. I, of course, do a lot of consulting in this area. Now, what is strategic business management is nothing but strategic management, planning and control. So strategic management, planning and control is essentially strategic business management. So what is it? It has to start from bottom. The first step is system from your learning points. That's what I was talking about, PDP loop, physical, digital and physical loop. You collect the data from the physical marketplace, digitally analyze it, and then form the strategy and implement going to the marketplace again. Then you take a 360-degree approach. You cannot do a silotic strategic business management. You have to have an oriented approach of the corporate as a whole. When you do your approach, your monodrishti or your strategic attitude should be focused on 4 important pillars. One is profitability and responsibility accounting. It does mean budgetary control or strategic management control. So profitability and responsibility accounting. That is what is your first focus pillar. Second focus pillar is quality of product and customer care. At the end of the day, if the customer doesn't want you, you are not there. Next is risk-enabled performance management. That is what I was taking. Anything you do, don't manage risk on a reactive basis. Manage risk on a proactive basis. Enable your processes or design your process in such a manner that anything risk it is there, you will be able to manage the risk as you go ahead. The last pillar is ESG, environment, sustainability, and governance. Your corporate image and human capital. At the end of the day, one of my previous speakers have talked about human capital. At the end of the day, essentially what you do, essentially whatever you do, ultimately the implementation of the same would be by the human capital. Now, if you have these four pillars, what you go forward manage, the first thing you manage is stakeholders relationship and experience. This is the Tata Group's important area of management. Manage the relationship of with all your stakeholders, including the society and as a whole. That is the nation as a whole. Product, brand, and corporate image. Be careful of your product, brand, and corporate image. You know what has happened to of Nestle. So product image and corporate image. Next is concurrent 4P management. And what are the 4P? People, planet, profit, and product. These are the 4P, very important 4P. All these 4Ps should be directly managed with an ESG enablement. That is, planet is on environment, sustainability is on people, planet, profit, and product all, and governance again for the corporate and product image as well as sustainability. And finally, at the end of the day, please take care of your money providers, your shareholders. This shareholders' wealth creation would be possible after you meet the need of the lenders. So what is very important is profit and profitability. If you generate cash here, then only this would be possible. Last one. If you do all this, what you essentially going to get? You will turn from an MSME to a medium sector company to a large sector company. And as you know, we are expecting that India is going to have 150 unicorns by another 2 to 3 years' time. From present 35, 40 odd unicorns. Essentially, I will say that we are not going to stop at large or unicorns. We will be MNCs and TNCs, transnational corporation and multinational corporation. So essentially what I'm trying to create a framework here is that if you follow this framework, starting from management planning and control, becoming a TNC or an MNC, India has shown the way. Many world organizations have shown the way. Baiju is now showing the way. Baiju has extended its business in many other countries. So it is gradually becoming an MNC and TNC, transnational corporation. I hope you have enjoyed this particular structure which I have created out of my experience in corporate world.
This is gonna be very helpful. This is gonna be really very helpful because when we handle our clients, they mostly say, "Oh, we are a very small client, or we are a very small business house. Why should we do it?" So now I can put this chart in front of them and say, "Look, if you want to go there, this is how you have to work." So this is how it is. It's gonna be really very insightful and helpful for us.
This is a path to become TNC.
Yes.
Okay. Now people say whether you should be a smart strategy creator or you should be fast strategy creator. Let us the definition which you have heard so far are like this. It should be, our strategy should be specific, our strategy should be measurable, our strategy should be achievable, our strategy should be realistic, and our strategy should be timely. Correct? Now, all these things are good. These are traditional definitions, slow but steady wins the race. But the new concept coming is a first strategy making. First strategy making is frequent because the world is evolving very fast, the world is changing very fast, and the Vukafu world is changing very fast. So you have to frequently visit your strategy. Could be possible every quarter, if not every month. Yearly strategy is definitely not the call of the day anymore. You can't make your annual business plan and stop there and implement for 1 year and revisit after 1 year. Chalega nahi. And goals should be ambitious. you should set a goal. You remember Hofstede theory. I don't want to explain this. You should be setting a target for your employees a little ambitious, more than what is achievable. It should be very, very specific. No ambiguity should be in your either strategy formulation, in your assigning a number against that strategic objective, the process of assigning a number, the process of defining your EVA, economic value addition, and it should be transparent, absolutely transparent, and it should be communicated on a transparent basis, and it should be shared. Unless you share the value you create with your employees, with your society as a whole, the strategy formulation can work and it can yield benefit for 3 years or 5 years, but it can't take you to become an TNC or an MNC. So the transformation has to be from a smart strategy maker and implementer to a fast strategy maker and implementer. It should be frequent, ambitious, specific, and transparent. I have created a new word which I want to file a copyright for this. It's called Stagility. Our consulting firm's name is Stagility. What is Stagility? Stagility is the ability to create agile strategy. So whatever strategy you create, it should be agile. It should be flexible. It should be convertible into action. And tomorrow, if that flexibility doesn't permit you in the new evolved environment, it should be flexible enough to change to a new strategy. So you should always keep your ears and eyes open. But when you do all this, never forget the age-old Indian tradition of collaboration, ethics, compassion, transparency, and shared values. Whatever value you create, don't enjoy everything on your own. Enjoy by sharing with the society. You create an inclusive strategy creation process. You work for inclusive smile and not your own smile only. You work for inclusive smile and not your smile only. Inclusive happiness, inclusive smile, inclusive everything. That is what we are looking for. So let us understand strategy from another perspective, which is called simple perspective. Let us read this in this direction, clockwise. The first part of strategy is systems. Second is implementation. Third is management. Fourth is people. Fifth is learn. Sixth is evolve. And the process continues. One cycle is not good enough. This cycle has to continue every day. And in the process, if you fail, don't be unhappy, because that is the lesson you learn to win tomorrow. After 41 years, India has become the third largest or the third best hockey team in the world. So this simple process of systems, implementation, management, people, learning and evaluation, if it is clubbed with smart to fast strategy formulation and backed by this particular framework which I have created for all of us, definitely you can go ahead and do it. So you will ask me, should strategies be always for creating value? My answer is no. Strategies should be also for minimizing value destruction. Minimizing value destruction, because a drop of oil saved is a drop of oil earned. A rupee saved is a rupee earned. When maximization of value addition should be your objective, minimization of value destruction also your objective, which is called cost management. Cost management is not cost reduction. Cost management is cost management. I have a slide for it, I'll discuss with you. So when you maximize your value addition and you minimize your value destruction, then the increase in shareholders' wealth keeps on doing. So you have to have an innovative process, which I explained to you earlier. And for maximization of value addition, you always have to look at the future. This is my coining. Reassess the impacts of seeds in the womb of time. That is what all startups are doing today. Pre-assess impacts of seeds in the womb of time. आगे चल के what is the latent demand of the society? That is what you need to assess. And when you maximize value addition, you remember Brian Dyson, who is the former CEO of Coca-Cola. He said value has a value only if its value is valued. So three things to this slide to you. Maximization of value addition is not the only process. Minimization of value destruction is also process. Pre-assess impacts in the seeds of in the wombs of time. समय के पास क्या है ये थोड़ा आँख उठा के देखो through your मनोदृष्टि. And finally, value has a value if its value is valued. That means you have to identify where value is being destructed and work towards it. Now come to strategic cost management. Priyanka ji, I hope this is going in line with the understanding.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I hope you are enjoying. If you are enjoying, I believe the audience.
I am really enjoying it, sir. Really enjoying it. I am really very happy to be a part of the team of this session today.
Okay. Okay. Let me tell you what is strategic cost management. What is minimization of value destruction? Strategic cost management is a way of life, and it is not a one-time or two-time or three-time exercise in the life of an organization. If you have to do strategic cost management, you have to ask certain question. अपनी औकात को समझो, introspection करो, मनोदृष्टि करो. What are the questions you have to ask? First is, have we reacted with a knee-jerk reaction? No. काल से टॉयलेट में टिश्यू पेपर बंद. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Employees will see कंपनी के पास इतना भी पैसा नहीं है कि टिश्यू पेपर डाल सकते हैं. But if we say this way, the company's strategy is to go green. So we don't want to fail any more trees by providing tissue paper in the toilet. That's the way we have to understand. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. Have we identified strategic drivers of cost? That is activity-based costing. Have we analyzed to incur cost? Have we analyzed to incur cost on a nice, essential and must basis? I give a very interesting example, please don't mind. In a washroom, a soap is nice to have, a tissue paper is nice to have, a soap is essential to have, but water is must have. A tissue paper is nice to have, an essential to have is the soap, and must have is the water. So you have to understand whether you are having a lot of nice to have items and whether those can be avoided. Next question is, have we planned operation cost management process bit by bit? You cannot do a 360 degree or 30,000 kilometer or 30,000 feet helicopter view. You have to start the cost management, strategy cost management right from the ground. You have to understand the realities of the ground. Next question is, have we checked the stability of our plan? Is our plan still useful? Is our plan still doable? Is our plan accepted by the people? Is our plan a long-term plan? Do we have a long-term view? काल से 5% cost saving or काल 1%, next year 2%, that way, gradually. Next is, have we assessed organizational realities and capabilities? अपनी औकात को समझो. What can we do? We should not bite more than what we can chew and digest. So organizational abilities are very important. And the last but not the least, which is very important, inclusive smile. If you have achieved some money, if you have achieved cost reduction, you should incentivize people who have done it, and you should incentivize the customer. Let me tell you, we are doing a research today on digital transformation of Indian banks. One of our question for this is that if banks are saving a lot of money on a long-term basis by digital transformation, is it being shared with the customers in the form of higher interest and fixed deposit? The interest and fixed deposit can be given higher out of your cost saved also, not necessarily out of your borrowing cost savings. Out of your process cost savings also you can share with customers by your increased rate of interest, and the process should continue. So it's a cycle process and it should continue every day. So strategic cost management has to talk about the scale, geography, dependency, key activities, experience, technology, and complexity. I don't want to discuss more. So what is the role of the CMS, Cost and Management Accountant?
अच्छा जी
मैं अपना पार्ट बोला है हमने आजकल मैं बड़ा चेयरमैन है ना सर
अच्छा
May I request if you can keep
Priji,
your
please, you are unmute. Can you mute yourself? Yes, sir, please continue.
okay, so it is the responsibility of cost and management accountants to co-create business strategies. So cost and management accountants should be an integral part of the strategy formulation and implementation team of the company. I have written 24 papers so far on digital transformation, which have been published from September 2019 to August 2021. This is publication will be maybe by tomorrow, day after, without any single month drop of these 24 months. In that, one of the papers I have written is called Audit 4.0. Like Industry 4.0, I have created a paper called Audit 4.0. What is to be done in auditing by Industry 4.0, that is digital innovation areas, today's digital world. So there has to be a CMA 4.0 also now. And for that, I have my last paper which I have written, Digital Transformation with Blockchain Technology, Accounting and Auditing. There I have talked about CMA 4.0. So the Chartered Institute would do well, and I am appealing to the leaders of my alma mater, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, to please define what is CMA 4.0, Cost and Management Accounting 4.0 in a digital environment. Let me move to something called fragility. All of us know our right brain and left brain. Our left brain, in a if we create a think tank in our organization who will be strategy creators, the first thing is you should be agile with innovation, collaboration, ethics, emotional intelligence, compassion, and shared values. This is what is very, very important. Today we are forgetting this. We may be talking about ethics, but we are not talking about emotional hygiene or emotional intelligence. Dharmaguru Dalai Lama says that in the present society, which is very badly crowded with many things, the concept of emotional hygiene should be taught right from kindergarten stage, because we are being emotionally polluted. Our emotional senses are being polluted by many things of this world. Ethics, in any case, I don't want to talk more about ethics. And we are not compassionate about our poorer section of people or people who are falling behind. Rabindranath Tagore said, "Paschate rakhicho jare, she tomare paschate taniche." It means if you leave somebody behind, he will pull you back from behind. What is happening in Maoist areas? They are pulling us behind. They are pulling industrialization behind. So after being agile with innovation, collaboration, ethics, emotional intelligence, compassion, and shared values, you create your strategy, formulation, and implementation team like a brain. The left side of the brain should talk about actions and frameworks, and right side of the brain should talk about values, ethics, and principles. And in between is the monitoring area. So this has already been talked about: formulating, communicating, developing, and developing implementation tactics and developing implementation control. So this is what is essentially I call the brain formation of the strategic management. Of course, I have borrowed the concept from these people. Now, this is what you are seeing, 8W1H principle. This is something you will not get in any book of this world. I repeat, 8W1H principle of task for strategic business management you will not get in any book of this world. This 8WH principle I have formulated and I have applied into many things: digital transformation, digital solution designing, management, strategic business management, strategic financial management. I will request the participants and my respected colleagues in the profession to read these 9 points, please. And please mark the underlined words. TA Madam Chaudhary.
You can call me Priyanka. That would be great, better.
Okay, okay. Do you think that this 8W1H principle should be read with the strategic framework, strategy management framework, which I have created earlier?
I think so, very much, because whenever I try to implement any strategy for any business, the first thing which I ask them is, why do you want it, what do you want it, and when do you want it? So that gets covered in your first three parts: what, why, when. So this is very much relevant. This is very much relevant and very much in sync with the thought process, wherein we say that yes, how do we strategize? Because these are the very paramount questions and vital questions which one should know and understand and ask oneself before strategizing for one's business or for any other's business also. You need to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I am sure, this will be remaining in the minds of my fellow CA professional colleagues, that this 8WH principle or 9-point question, and it's not one question embedded into 1W or 1H. It is in this question, look at this: what products, what services, what cost, what purpose, and what time. If you transform it in a 4R principle, it is called the right product and service at the right cost for the right purpose at the right time. Right product at the right cost for the right purpose at the right time. It can be applied to the purchasing principle: right material at the right time at the right cost at the right time. So these are very, very important points, very, very important question. Today the problem in the management world is, what the boss says or what the promoter says, we keep agreeing. At times the boss gives me, okay, I give you these points, go reflect, come back. If you are given the option of reflection or reflecting or putting it against a mirror, this slide is your mirror. Ask the question, like every day you go when you shave or do whatever dressing up you do in front of the mirror, the question you ask yourself, either explicitly or implicitly, am I looking better? This is the mirror for you to ask whether my strategies are looking better, my strategies are implementable. I don't want to explain this because I have some more things to say. So it is CXO's onerous responsibility is to remove suboptimalities, because if you keep suboptimality, there will be value destruction. So by removing suboptimality, you minimize value destruction, and that can be removed through strategic planning, effective execution and monitoring of results. And let me tell you one thing, you must not do any strategic planning unless the same is aligned your vision mission. I have a case study which I've written for Bombay Taxation Chamber, which is, I believe, is an older organization than before it was set up even before the 1959. There, I have published a paper for them where I have talked about this particular issue. That particular case when Tata Jaguar Land Rover was acquired by Tomco, that is Tata Motors, that time I wrote this. What I wrote and found there is that the Tata Jaguar Land Rover acquisition was very much aligned with the vision, mission and strategy of the company. Only this alignment is not sufficient. It has to be confirmed and it has to be transformed into a actionable points for each functional area, for each functional element in the organization. So intent has to be converted into initiative has to be converted into action. Unless you do that, and unless it is aligned with the vision, mission, value and culture of the organization, it's not going to survive, because your organization is not twinned. There is a concept called organizational xenomics. So unless it is okay with your organizational genome, that is the gene of your organization, strategy will fail. So do what your vision is to do what your value is to do, value system permit, and do what is your mission permit. So before any strategy formulation, please redefine your vision in the changed world economic environment. Define what is important for you. Is it ethics important for you? Is it profit important for you? It is cash important for you? Or it is overall improvement of the business organization and society is important for you? So all these have to be very, very well aligned. And when you do the alignment, the most important thing is that when you do the monitoring, your monitoring can be done only when you do responsibility accounting. As I mentioned, responsibility accounting in my framework, profitability is important to be planned and executed. But you have to understand customer's perspective, internal process perspective, financial perspective, and learning and growth perspective. So from customer, there are certain points. For internal operation, efficiency is a point. For financial perspective, profitability and liquidity point. And prosperity and sustainability is the point for growth perspective. So organizational setting, information provision and information use, reliability, relevant and timeliness of information. These are very, very important. So balanced scorecard assessment, first of all, created a balanced scorecard for responsibility accounting, and then monitoring of the same with the actual achievement can be only done when your information system is very agile, very effective, very efficient, very integrated, very relevant, and very reliable. Now I will tell you one more story, very interesting story. Priyanka, this story comes for you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Shall I go ahead with the story?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Here is a ship which is locked up and it's not anymore moving, which is about 100 nautical miles away from the port where it is to be berthed. Now they have booked the what is my time to stop? Is it 1945, that is 7:45, or 7:40 or 7:35? When should I stop my presentation?
So we need to close by 7:45. Thereafter, the question sessions can happen for 10 minutes and then we can wrap up.
Okay, so I have roughly about 19 minutes more. So let me see how much I can go. I have lots to share, but let me see. So here is a ship which is locked up and not moving 100 nautical miles away from the port where it is to be berthed. And last 3 days, everybody is trying. The ship is just not moving. And the captain of the ship is very much worried. Okay, what is happening? No engineer is capable of doing it. So one of the engineers said that the city in which we are going to berth our ship, there is an engineer, used to be an engineer, he must be an old man. He must be an old man by now. So let's call him. So this small boat was sent to call him, and the boat brought this gentleman, old man, next day morning. Evening, the boat was sent. Next day morning, the man arrived. When the person arrived, he's an old man, 70 years old. He was just carrying a small toolkit, not even 1 feet by 1 feet, maybe 1.5 feet by 1 feet kind of toolkit bag he's carrying, very light. He started walking down from the top of the ship. First he went up to the top of the ship, and from there he went to the deck of the ship. This is at the end of the ship where the engine is located. As you know, engine is always at the bottom of the ship. This man, after reaching the engine room, he moved around the engine for 2-3 times and took out a very small hammer. Everybody was surprised. Such a big ship, and he is only taking out a small hammer. This gentleman, 70 years old man, opened a small cover and made a huge hit with a small hammer. It was a small hammer, but a huge hit. The engine immediately started. Everybody was clapping. Everybody was happy. 3 days of effort. Nothing could be done. By just one hammer hit, the man has started the engine. Everybody was happy. The captain was very, very happy. The captain said, "Oh, you've done a great job. You are maybe an old man, but you know what is what. You know an engine by its nerve." And he was asked to send his bill. So this story is about 50 years old. He sent in those days a $10,000 bill. I repeat, a $10,000 bill. The captain of the ship, by that time he has already berthed, saw the bill and he was very, very upset. What? $10,000 in 50 years before, $10,000 used to be a big sum. Just for 15 minutes walk and one hammer, $10,000 bill. Asked him to send an itemized bill. And this old gentleman send an itemized bill. And I will request Priyanka ji, please read this details of the bill for all.
Sure, sir. Tapping with the hammer, $2. Knowing where to tap, $9,998.
Have you understood the
Yes,
point
sir.
here?
This is the condition of CA profession. I am very much aligned with it. Wherein clients come and say, "This is a small certification. Why do you need it?" We say, "Look, I have spent my past experience because of this. I am able to do this work in a minute. The experience and the hard work which I have been putting in, that's what have made me. Then this is my investment. So now I'm getting my return. So you cannot judge that. I have done an investment years back."
Right. So in the context of strategic management, you need not do something hugely expensive. You need not do something hugely gigantic or hugely good looking or hugely very, very jargonistic or very, very technically strong. No. What you need to do is to understand where to tap, where the problem lies, and how the problem is to be solved. And that is where your experience will work and your knowledge will work. The most important thing today's world for strategic business management is to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Earlier, this process or cycle used to be about 5 years once. Now the process and cycle is about 2 years or 3 years maximum. And relearn has to be very fast because things are changing very, very fast. So experience gathering, learning and relearning, very, very important, so that you can say that my tapping the hammer is just $2 and $9,998 is the charge for wet to tap. So an effective performance management, that means by tapping the right place, is aligned with your organization. It must be practical, easy to understand and use. You have to monitor, you have to establish clear communication. This is very important. And when you do a communication strategy, please use this right to know, RTN basis, right to know basis. Not all people should know everything, but that people should know that thing which is correctly which is important for his job area to be known. So allow the information to be used for sensitizing person for the strategy of the organization so that he is better equipped to implement the strategy. So right to know is the most important thing for communication strategy. And finally, provide constructive and continuous feedback. Monitoring is not only important, providing feedback is also very, very important. It is a William Shainman point. So if you think strategic performance measurement is just an old-fashioned measurement, refried, you are in for a surprise. So if you think that, no, everything of strategy in this present world has to be something absolutely new. This gentleman says no. It has to be, the fundamental concept has to remain the same, but way of understanding the fundamental concept, way of understanding the business environment, way of formulating your strategy, and way of implementing your strategy should be different. But your knowledge, ABCD of strategic business management remaining the same. So first is remove all low value activities, being strategic priority. Second is focus on results over activity. What we these days like music. Music आजकल सुनने के लिए नहीं है, दिखाने के लिए है. We do not only sing. Earlier we used to listen to music from radio. Today we listen to music for television, where a lot of entertainment stuff is there. But the problem where it is that our focus gets lost. So we are not judging the music itself. We are judging the entire performance of the musician and the person who is singing. Because today a person who sings also dances. But the issue here is, वो जो song है, it has to be Shruti Madhur. It has to be very melodious. That focus should not be lost. Remove cycle time sluggishness. Anything you do should be very, very timely. Any wastage of time cannot be afforded. Remove ineffective customer management models. Remove functional silos. Minimize churn of valued customers and employees. So anything which is important should be with you. That is the sustainability issue. So see, these thoughts, this 6-point agenda was very much there 50 years back when World War, and even in pre-World War situation. I have done my PhD in transfer pricing, and in 1999. I have referred transfer pricing as a practice in 1889. That means roughly about 1999, transfer pricing was introduced. 2001, transfer pricing was introduced in Indian Income Tax Act. I finished my PhD in 1999, and I found tracing of transfer pricing in 1880s by cotton mills of UK. So the concept of transfer pricing remained the same. Application changed. That's important. You'll be surprised to know, and I don't want to explain this slide, you'll be surprised to know a small country like Bangladesh has a strategic cost management standard. Like we have financial standard, accounting standard, or cost accounting standard, there is a strategic accounting standard. I believe India doesn't have it as yet, but Bangladesh already has it. And this is a simple way they have explained what is strategic cost management. So unless we create a framework for doing anything, unless we put a code of ethics, code of doing the thing into something, we get into kind of madness for doing anything. So anything you do should have a standard, a code. For that, the paper I have written on central bank digital currency, emergence of CBDC from the phoenix of cryptocurrency, that is the name of my paper, where I brought out the framework. Complete framework is necessary for anything which you do should be sustainable. So your strategy, whatever you should do is, COVID has pushed us from here to here. And now we have to push through our strategy here to here, our organization. Because when you are in zone B, for every 10% increase in your sales, you have 10% increase in your profit. If that is the situation, then you are not a good strategy player. When every 10% increase in your sales gives you higher than 10% increase in your profit and profitability, then your strategy works. So if you are pushed by COVID-19 pandemic to zone B, if you are pushed by COVID-19 pandemic to zone B, then please put your strategy in such a manner that you will be able to go to zone A back. What is happening now? Four most important for you is what is happening now and findings of diagnostic variance analysis from target for initiating corrective measures. So what has pushed you here and how can you push you back to zone A? That's very important. That is your strategy. Conduct a trend analysis, map present position and fix strategies for strategies intent. So that's very important. If you have to do this strategy implementation, don't forget this big lesson from Gita. This is the lesson from Gita, Sharbang Rilidhang Brahma. That means Sarva Jeev ki andar Brahma hai. If you serve a person, you are serving Brahma, because we are Paramatma ki Sarup of every person. So society has to be benefited and enterprise has to be benefited. That is the strategy. If the society gets benefited but enterprise gets harmed, the enterprise becomes a martyr. What happened to Kellogg's in its coming days when morning breakfast cereal came to India? If your society gets harmed but enterprise gets benefited, that means enterprise will be sucking blood of the society. It will work as a parasite. If the society gets harmed and the enterprise also gets harmed, it is a terrorist situation. Nobody is benefited. So what is important? The important is win-win. So whatever strategy you should create, it should not benefit the organization only. It should benefit the society also. So parasite will be killed in no time. Parasite will not be able to suck for long. Terrorists will be killed in no time. Martyrs will bleed to death. Successful strategies only will create a win-win situation. So exclusive reliance on financial indicators promotes short-term behavior. So always don't get into financial indicator. You also do talk about customers indicator and societal indicators. Exclusive reliance on financial indicators promotes short-term behavior that sacrifices long-term value for short-term performance. Never ever sacrifice your short-term, long-term gains against a short-term value. That is Michael Porter said. That is the Porter 5's underlying theory. So you should be, your thought process of spending every money should be utility divided by cost or result divided by cost should be more than 1. So that is possible when you minimize value destruction, understand the strategic driver and remove some optimalities. So these are very, very important points. I don't want to spend any time. I want to end my presentation with this story. It's a story again, a boy who is traveling, of course not in COVID time, maybe 3 years before, in the city of Nainital in the month of December, around 4th week of December. Chilly cold there. Chilly cold, the boy has lost his hat in the hotel. It could not be found out. So after breakfast, morning at around 9 o'clock, this boy was walking along the eastern side. I repeat, walking along the eastern side of the road in the marketplace. Lots of things were there. So the parent asked where I can get a cap for this boy. He is nicely cladded with winter clothes, but he has got a muffler also, but his cap is not there. So the people said that the cap shops should be a little ahead. So this boy who are walking through the right side of the eastern side of the road started talking and telling his parents, I want to walk through the western side of the road. The parents said, why? The father said, why? Why are you trying to go to the western side of the world, path? What you can see from western side, you can see from the eastern side also. And shops are little ahead, so don't worry. The father tried to argue. The boy was relentlessly appealing. Father thought that this boy must be tired of walking. He said, do you want to come on my lap? The boy said, no, I will never go to your lap. I want to walk. In any case, the boy did not agree with the parents and kept on saying, we want to go to western side. Now mother took over the charge. Mother tried to do all kinds of persuasion. Mother did not. And girls present in the whole meeting, please don't mind. Mother ने इसको एक थप्पड़ लगा दिया. Slapped him a little. The boy didn't cry. The boy said, no, I want to go to western side. Now, after the parents went to western side,
एक आधे दिन का मेरे घर का रह गया उसके बाद
I'm finishing. Give me just 2 more minutes. 1945, I'll finish. So after they went to the western side, the parents.
Mr. Gaurav, can you mute yourself, please?
कोई दिक्कत नहीं वो भी होगा.
Mr. Gaurav, can you mute yourself?
Yeah, ma'am, just muting. हाँ जी.
So
Your video is also on, sir.
So when the parents and the boy went to the western side, the parents had the realization of their life. I generally ask my students, what is the realization of life? But I don't have scope to interact with you. So let me tell the answer. The answer is, when they were...
So should I try to answer it?
Please go ahead.
I think when they went on the western side, the direction of the wind changed and the chill was little lesser.
No, madam, if the direction of the wind was coming from any of the side, it will equally affect the all part of the road. Your direction word is correct, but the direction of something else, not the wind. Let me answer. There are two strategic intent of the boy which he wants to implement by walking through the western side. That is his action, and his intents are two. One, when they were walking through the eastern side, because of the shops are there, morning sun gives you a lower angle ray. So the morning sun rays were blocked by the building of the eastern side. So sun rays were not falling on their body. So he was not feeling the warmth of the sun rays. Point number one. Point number two, he doesn't want to go to his parents' lap, because if he keeps on walking, he will keep himself warm. So he doesn't want to stop doing his exercise. So the learning point, if you replicate the story in your corporate environment, learning point is here that in order to achieve a strategic intent, you need not do something exotic, for which you should need to spend something heavy. In the given environment where you are operating, if you take the best advantage of the environment, perhaps you will be able to implement your strategic intent, strategic technique and tactics for achieving this strategic intent. What are the two strategic tactics? Walking through the western side so that they can take the sunlight directly on their body, and walking through the road and not go to further slab so that he can keep his body warm. So these are the two tactics, and the intent is to keep himself warm, because he doesn't want to put his muffler on his ear because he doesn't to lose focus that he has to get a cab. So these are the three issues which are there in this whole story. I have many more things. I have certain case studies which I will not do. I request you to please don't suffer from bounded rationality and follow the principle of 6 C's, which I can share on some other day. This is another case study. It is a real life case study, which I designed the action points, and it was a very successful case study. And this is the case study of Tata Motors, which I have written a paper published by Bombay Tax Chamber. Thank you very much indeed, and your further thoughts. Let me thank you. And before thanking you, let me just add this particular ribbon. The essence of dropping the last letter and make it management. Essence of management lies in dropping the last letter and make it management. It is still better to drop the last 2 letters and make it manage me. That means the leader should manage himself first. And we are all leaders in our own desks where we are doing the job. So managing me first is the most important point in strategic business management. Thank you very much indeed. And with this, I stop sharing my presentation.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. This was really very interactive, really very. I must say that I just lost track of the timings before you asked me how much more I have time with, because I just wanted to hear you again and again and as much as you can explain, because the things were explained in a very simple layman languages, and maybe because it comes from your experience of teaching students in the classroom where so no jargons used, nothing. So very simple and very simple. So sir, we had few questions over here when we say strategic management. So as you said that there is lot coming in the startup business, and our economics and our recent government is also trying to push a lot on the startup environment, and we are having a lot of unicorns coming up. So just wanted to understand how wherein people just try to feel, oh, we are just a small startup, how much management is necessary. They don't try to focus much. A word for them, your advice for them, they just want to understand how strategic management can be helpful to them.
The strategic management is a very simple thing in the context of startup. You have your dream, and you know that you have to focus on your dream. The moment you remain focused in your dream, your monodrishti and your drive for implementing your dream and achieving your dream will help you. But the question here is that you may be inexperienced in the business world, you may be inexperienced in the professional world. So you need the benefit of a mentor. Now here one thing is very important. Guru mile lakho lakho, chela mile ek. Here the chela is the startup who has got an excellent dream, idea of a new product, idea of something which will redefine, disrupt, and disrupt. What he has to be shown is how to move along the road which is difficult. And that is what comes in from experience. So my suggestion to startupians, I call them startupian, like Indian, startupian, that you focus on your dream. Do whatever you want to achieve, you do. Don't bother in failing. But एक गुरु ले लो. And not वो गुरु जो आपको बोलता है ये करो वो करो. जो वो गुरु वो आपके ड्रीम को पहले समझता है. That guru which allows you to apply your mind only holds you when you tend to fall. That is what should be. At the moment of a startup, it is not strategy which is important. It is focusing on your dream is very, very important. And the dream should be not in sleep. This dream should be dream with open eyes.
Indeed, sir. This has to be dream with open eyes, and these are the dreams which I think would take India further up the economic, and we would become the economics wherein we can challenge the best of the economics in this world. And one more thing, so what we wanted to understand, this COVID-19, as you had shown it in your graph also, that in COVID-19, people who predicted to be like this have not have had that steeper a growth, but they have had a little flatter a growth. So what they need to change as in a mindset, so that because we see COVID is there to stay for a little more longer. We don't know how long it's gonna stay. So what should be the strategy of industries and business and entrepreneurs from the perspective of strategic management so that they attain their goals?
Very simple. My way of thinking is very simple. First, you survive. Your strategy in a COVID-19 pandemic like situation is first survival. And your next strategy should be focused on revival. And then it is growth. So when you are in a pandemic type of a situation, you have to survive for the day. Your strategy should be first make your foot strong on the ground which have been taken away from you. So it is today, here and now, tomorrow and day after. That is the strategy. Today, tomorrow and day after means survive today, revive tomorrow and grow day after. If you have to do that, your low-hanging fruits are your focused area for reviving today, surviving today. When you say low-hanging fruit and low-hanging items, the areas where you can do cost minimization, or you can bank upon your customers who are your valued customers. You remember I showed you certain things. So focus on your areas what you are good at. Focus your areas which has given you better results in hard days, because you have faced hard days also previous time. Go to your stakeholders who understands you better than any new stakeholder. Don't straightaway go for expanding your market. Survive and revive in the existing market, and then think of expansion. Straightaway don't hop, step and jump. Step, hop and then jump. Not hop, step and jump. A jumper runs, hops, steps and jump. Our job is that move, step, hop and then jump. Survive, that is your move, step, revive, jump.
Okay. So one more question which is out of context, but it is from the uh, brief which I gave about your work. So now people want to understand about your research on CBDC, because this is the new sensation. A few days back it was in news also. So people want to understand what is it going, what is the future of crypto in India, how it is going, what is the digital money gonna be.
Priyanka ji, I will be little selfish. I have about 16,400 plus followers in LinkedIn. And if you go to my LinkedIn profile, go down a bit, you will find an anchor article. And that article itself is a article on CBDC. The name of the article is Emergence of Central Bank Digital Currency from the Phoenix of Cryptocurrency. There I have captured the history of coins, which was a stone coin in prehistoric days of India, in Chandragupta Maurya's time. From there, I have brought it in today's world, what is cryptocurrency. And my prediction for anywhere in the world, private cryptocurrencies will ultimately survive as a asset class, like mutual fund. It will never be, should not be, and must not be allowed as a medium of exchange and settlement like any fiat currency. So private cryptocurrencies will be an asset class, and central bank digital currency will be the future of cryptocurrency in the world. What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is nothing but something which is administered in a cryptographed or encrypted environment. That is called cryptocurrency. Okay, it may not be tokenized, may be tokenized, but it has to have the backing of some asset, which is the central bank backing. So you can read my paper. I have my private YouTube channel. My private YouTube channel has got 30 videos right now, up till now. One of the videos is of MIT Edity University Pune's recent national conference, where I have given a talk on this particular subject. So you can look at that video also. So this is my
So for sure, as you would have received my LinkedIn invite also, I'm for sure gonna read that newspaper, that article which you're mentioning, because this is what I had been reading through, but not able to understand what the future recourse would be. So now, when you have given a brief insight, let me read through, and would love to
Priyanka
reconnect
ji,
with you
I
on
have
that.
another small article. I have a published article in my profile. What should be a common man's approach to a cryptocurrency, which is not an article shared, but it's an article which is written in LinkedIn itself.
Okay.
So that also, it's a one pager. You can read that also.
Thank you,
I
sir.
appeal. So I will be happy to connect with all my audience today with the LinkedIn, so that we can interact in future. If you have any questions, you can always raise there.
Thank you so much, sir. Our privilege, sir, that is. So now I take this opportunity to call upon Mr. Gaurav Jain, the branch secretary for Ambala branch. Sir, welcome you, and we would like you to give the vote of thanks and the concluding remarks for the session today. Mr. Gaurav Jain.
Hello. Yes, could you hear me?
Yeah, good
Yes.
evening, sir.
Yeah,
Good evening.
Good evening, friends. I, CA Gaurav Jain, Secretary Ambala branch, on behalf of whole CA community, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude and thanks to all the august speakers and for their deep insight into the management accounting insights, strategic management. We all intended to use the knowledge gathered today in furtherance of our work. I thank CA Charanjot Singh Nanda ji, Central Council Member, CA Mohammad Salim ji, General Manager Finance, Power Finance Corporation Limited, and CA Dr. Paritosh Basu, CA Nand Kishore Hegde ji, Vice Chairman, CMA. Last but not the least, our Chairman, CA Jaspreet Singh Manjiratta ji, to give me this opportunity to give vote of thanks. I would also like to appreciate the gathering of such esteemed members of the virtual seminar. I would like to thank Committee of Management Accounting CMA of ICAI, who very well hosted this seminar in association with Ambala branch of NRIC of ICAI. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Let me also thank CA Priyanka Chaudhary for her excellent moderation. She made the session much more lively with her anecdotes and tidbits. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Learning from you, sir.
Thank you, Nandaji. Thank you, Jaspreet ji.
Thank you so much, sir. Would love to interact further with you, sir. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you so much.
So now I end the session here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jaspreet ji. Thank you, everyone, for your valuable time. And whosoever has attended the sessions,